The past week has been a whirlwind of bad news and speculation. Following a US airstrike that killed General Qasem Soleimani, the whole world was thrust into conversations about potential war. How would Iran respond to this act of violence? Would the US take further action to protect their interests? Could US President Donald Trump smooth things over to avoid further loss of life? Well, we have some of the answers now. However, the question looming over everyone's heads like a dark rain cloud is about World War III. A conflict of that scale would send shockwaves across the globe and upend the lives that many people know today. If that's the case, people want to know how and when it will start. Hello, fellow friends and philosophers, and welcome back to the most mind-bending channel on YouTube, Life's Biggest Questions. I'm your voice in the void, and today we're asking a question with worldwide ramifications. When will World War III start? Before we get into the nitty gritty, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more curious content. Alright, let's get started. For us to understand the start of World War III, first we need to outline what constitutes a world war. There have been countless conflicts between the end of World War II and now, but none of them were considered world wars. What would make this latest conflict escalate to the global level? Well, it would definitely have to be a global war. This means that the vast majority of the world's countries would have to somehow be involved. All of the great powers would have to step up to the plate too. They'd have to organize into alliances of sorts. The balance of power in the world has shifted over the past century, and global superpowers look a little different than they used to. In World War II, the superpowers aligned to form the Allied forces and the Axis powers. The Allies consisted of the Big Four: the Soviet Union, the United States of America, the United Kingdom, and China. And the Axis consisted of Nazi Germany, Imperial Japan, and Imperial Italy. Nowadays, the superpowers are a little different. China, Russia, United States, Japan, Germany, and the United Kingdom still rank highly and are now joined by the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Israel, and France. All these countries have allies and proxies of their own, which could also play into the alliances formed. So if all these countries were to pick sides, basically joining up with either the United States or Iran, then they would enter a state of total war. By involving a majority of the world's powers in conflict, a world war would be started. It also seems that major participants in world wars throw their entire economic, industrial, and scientific capabilities behind the war effort. In World War II, this total focus on war sort of blurred the lines between civilian and military resources. That almost seems to be the way things are going now in the United States and Iran, with gigantic military budgets towering over other spending areas. Once people start collecting scrap metal for the war effort, we'll know it's time. So now we know what a world war would look like, but that doesn't really answer our question. If we want to know when it will start, we need to know the causes of world war. Usually it's not just one thing. A lot of folks might compare the deaths of Soleimani to that of Franz Ferdinand, basically saying that it is the impetus to start a global conflict. But it never boils down to just one death or one attack. Sure, that might be a tipping point, but there are infinite factors at play. Continuing conflicts are always occurring, and one can lead to another, and then all of a sudden the whole world is at war. World War II is often attributed to Adolf Hitler leading Nazi Germany in a string of unsanctioned invasions, but there were more conflicts simmering below the surface as all this went on. The Great Depression put a lot of pressure on nations to claw their way back to prosperity, and a war between Japan and China waged throughout Asia. Soon enough, all the conflicts came to a head, and nations began declaring war and forming alliances. So keep an eye on world events and conflicts not explicitly related to the United States and Iran. You never know what might happen. Okay, so back to the present. What's happening now? What could happen now that might start World War III? After the assassination of Soleimani, Iran responded by firing missiles at 2 air bases in Iraq hosting US soldiers. There have been no confirmed casualties, and it actually seems that Iran chose deliberately not to hit American troops. In fact, Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei called it a slap in the face, which seems to imply that it was meant to sting and embarrass, not cause loss of life. In response to the missile attack, President Trump said that he will place extreme economic sanctions on Iran after the attack. On top of this statement, he says that the United States is ready to embrace peace with all who seek it. Not bad. Both countries appear to have cooled down a bit and have reached a bit of a standstill. So what could happen? Well, there are lots of people saying a lot of different things. Some analysts say that there have been messages from Iran saying that they believe they've responded proportionally, and that should be all. Trump seems sort of satisfied too, but we'll see what happens next. Other pundits claim that this will be the beginning of a long and drawn-out proxy war between the United States and Iran. Both countries could use their allies and economic power to cause problems for their adversaries. This would be a war, sure, but not a world war. Another option would be for either leader to take the violence a step further. This is a surefire way to start a war. If any major attack is performed, the retaliation from the other side could very well start a third world war. At that point, alliances would be formed and major world powers would take the field. It wouldn't look like wars of days gone by though. It would be much more technology and information based. No more front lines, no more trenches. Guerrilla and information warfare would take the lead, along with plenty of drone strikes and bombings. But yeah, that about sums it up. World War III will start when a major attack occurs and the world powers pick sides. Let's just hope it never comes to that. What do you think? Will World War III happen sooner than we think? Or will it be put off for another 100 years? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's see what you folks had to say last time. I Need Ad Revenue says the only winning move is not to play war games. You're damn right. Let's just hope the folks at the top figure that out on time. John Marston says revenge is a fool's game, and it keeps getting played. And 39 subscribers with no videos says mankind must put an end to war before war puts an end to mankind. It's a tale as old as time, and we don't seem to be learning. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.